Hi, Year 12. Okay, this is part 3 of our Insensibility podcast, and we're moving on to stanza 3 as well. Okay, this particular stanza is about the loss of imagination, so the insensibility towards imagination. So we start off again with the biblical allusion to the Beatitudes. Happy are these who lose imagination. Notice the colon there, which means that we're going to carry forward an elaboration of what that means. So happy are these who lose imagination. They have enough to carry with ammunition. Again, we have the half rhyme between imagination and ammunition, and the words contrast against each other. There's a definite juxtaposition there. The idea that the imagination and ammunition can somehow be linked. So these two words together becomes a dramatic irony because we can't reconcile how they can be linked. And what we have is this idea that there is no place for the imagination in war. There's enough to carry with ammunition. The actual realities of war are too much to bear. You don't need the imagination to go with it. And I think as we go through the stanza, we'll see that this idea of imagining and remembering home is not conducive for the soldier. They need to be without their emotions. They need to be insensible to what's going on around them. Okay, so they have enough to carry with ammunition. This is a metaphorical burden here. The ammunition is heavy enough. Their spirit drags no pack. So this is an extension of the metaphor now. So again, having something to carry, something to move around, and it amplifies the image of the soldiers carrying their packs. It also, I think, links to that lexical chain that we have in Dolce of the soldiers bent doubled like hags and bent at the knees, and that weighing down, that burden that they carry in Dolce, that physical premature aging that we see sort of links here very nicely with this poem and the idea that their spirit, that there's nothing left. They can't carry anything more with them. The imagination is actually too much. It's too much of a burden to carry, which jars with the reader because that's the one thing that we see as our form of escape is imagination, and yet here the reality of the war is so much that they can't afford to have their imaginations. And so we move on. Their old wounds, saved with cold, can no more ache. Okay, this is a metaphor of physical wounds or physical pain. And the physical pain is being used as a metaphor to represent the emotional pain that the men would have to suffer if they had imagination. So he's bringing us to be aware of the present moment for the soldiers. We've already got them walking over cobblestones of bodies. Their brothers are dead. There's this randomness. They don't know when they're going to die. They're almost certain that they are going to die. They don't know when it's going to come. They've got these packs that weigh them down, and here all their physical pain, the physical pain cannot outweigh the pain that comes with imagination. Having seen all things red, or the hurt of the colour of blood forever. Okay, red itself, having seen all things red, their eyes are rid. Sorry, I skipped a whole heap of lines. Their eyes are rid of the hurt of the colour of blood forever. Okay, so having seen all things red, it's a double-layered word. Red means passion, red means anger, and it also means blood. And so they're seeing blood everywhere. Their eyes are rid of the hurt of the colour of blood forever. So these powerful lines, powerful lines. if you don't have an imagination, blood just becomes another red thing. It's just another thing. But this is about the psychological trauma, that post-traumatic stress disorder, the shell shock that comes with seeing so much blood and witnessing the mass slaughter that they are seeing. And it's been placed against the physical pain. So again, the hurt. So the idea that it's something physical. So the hurt of the color of blood, as if it can cause a physical pain. That as it goes on, and terror's first constriction over. This is quite a visceral image, and it's about the stress the soldier feels when that stress or that frightened moment when when you just freeze up when terror strikes. I don't know if you've ever felt it when you've had that moment of shock, when imagine what it's like when someone sneaks up behind you and you jump and your whole body goes tense and jumps. This is kind of what he's referring to here, that constriction. And then it goes on over. So we have, and terror's first constriction over, their hearts remain small drawn. Again, this is more metaphor here for their loss of imagination. So small drawn, it kind of goes with fade, dull, and some of those other words that we have in this lexical chain. So small drawn, and it's the idea that it's it's shrunken. It's they're not allowing the heart to feel at all and to experience anything, because all they've got is fear. And fear is destroying any possibility of emotion and imagination. Their senses in some scorching cauchery of battle now long since ironed. Listen to the sibilance there. Their hearts remain small drawn, their senses in some scorching cauchery of battle now long since ironed. So you've got this sibilance there that creates something a sinister mood, and it's also like a spitting sort of sound that is coming out here, and it's like the scorching, some scorching cautery. So it's cauterizing. When you cauterize something, you burn it to stop it from expanding, or to seal it up. So if you cauterize a wound, you burn the wound to stop it from sealing, and it closes that wound up. And that's what you've got here. So it's like shut down that emotion, keep it hidden, keep it locked up in these hearts that remain small drawn, and lock up all the senses. Now long since ironed, the physical scars have healed, but there's still no emotion left. So this is the idea that even if you physically survive the war, the horror is going to continue for you, and so there's no feeling left. The imagination is gone. They don't need imagination because of the horrors that they've seen. Then can laugh among the dying unconcerned. I think for me this links nicely to the next war, when they're laughing with death. It's not metaphorical here. This is just straight to the point, and it's quite disturbing that we get the idea that they are laughing whilst among the dying, and that they are unconcerned with what's going on. And so it, like the imagery of the cobblestones earlier, becomes a really disturbing image here. And it links with the next war, with the soldiers who laugh with death. But here they're not laughing alongside death. They're just laughing. They're devoid of feeling. There's something maniacal in this laugh here. So this stanza is a really sad stanza for me, and a really disturbing stanza, this idea that they're weighed down with so much that there's no more room for the imagination. The imagination, they can't survive with imagination. The imagination will just make things completely worse for them. Okay, moving on to stanza 4. Happy the soldier home, with not a notion how somewhere every dawn some men attack and many sighs are drained. Happy the lad whose mind was never trained, his days are worth forgetting more than not. He sings along the march, which we march taciturn because of dusk, the long, forlorn, relentless trend from larger day to huger night. This is another powerful stanza. This one is about the person who, there's two ways of reading it. It could be about a soldier on leave who has gone home, or it is about the soldier who has not yet gone to war, and so is insensible to the reality. So I think this particular stanza links strongly with Dulce Decorum Est, and this is, happy the soldier at home, and many sighs are drained. This is the person who's dreaming of the heroic glorification of war, the ones that Wordsworth is talking about. I think it alludes to Shakespeare's Henry V, the Band of Brothers speech yet again. That speech goes on about, it's called the St. Crispin's Day speech. I'll go into that in the next video.